Question comes from Sir Thunderpaws on the Classic WoW subreddit. What are you going to do to address gold inflation, gold buying, and botting?
Oh, interesting question.
This kind of activity and the impact that it has is incredibly important to us. Not just as developers of the game, but also as players of the game ourselves. So it's something that the team is incredibly focused on. Almost nonstop. When we think about this, and we think about the tools that we have at our disposal, it gets challenging to get into specifics on it, because the more that we talk about it and the more that we talk about how we work on this or the areas that we work on to help address it.
He gave me the same answer. I interviewed him the same question. And he said, well, I don't think he's lying, but a lot of people are saying he's capping. He says he can't tell us how they're going to terminate them, because if they do, the botters are going to work around them, which makes sense. But yeah, there wasn't really a clear answer. He just says it's important and they'll take care of the bots, was what the answer was.
The more self-defeating it can become because of that level of insight that we're giving into it. So I would say that I'm sure some players have noticed the occasional instance where an instance might close for a little bit with not very much warning and then may reopen. Those could be areas where some of our team are making some changes due to some activity that we've seen in those spaces. I think part of the challenge really is that communication.
Thank you so much, sir.
Problem that we come across. We're trying to find ways to be more communicative about our efforts. One of the things that we started doing several months ago is working with our community team to post the monthly number of accounts that have been actioned to kind of give some of that visibility into the work that our team and our partner teams are doing in this area. I think bottom line, we recognize that this is a battle and we recognize that it's a battle that's not going to stop, but we are up to the challenge. This is one that we are not going to stop fighting. The team is committed to it. Our partner teams are committed to it, and we're going to use all the tools at our disposal and our evolving tactics to continue addressing it.
Yeah, I mean, in the technical side of things, we're always looking into different options on how to increase, all of the code and like the systems that we have in place, and it's always part of like our tasks that we always are looking into, and we work really closely with the modern side of the game too, because to kind of have a concrete and like unified front into this battle.
Our next question comes from the BG Hero on the Classic WoW subreddit.
That looks like such a fake name that they made, and they're just asking questions themselves. The BG Hero. That sounds like such a fake name.
How do you plan to balance factions for World PvP and Season of Discovery?
Yeah, so this is a fun one. I want to start kind of just talking about servers or realms for a second. I don't think a lot of players realize, because we've only talked about it once or twice publicly, but when we were developing hardcore realms, we were actually able to develop quite a bit of technology and new methods to raise the realm counts for the number of concurrent players that we can have connected to a single realm at a time, quite substantially. So when you look at the number of realms that we launched with on hardcore, it may seem like there's only a couple, but they can actually hold a far greater number of players at a single time than we had ever previously been able to achieve on previous classic realms.
Okay.
So that's certainly something
they're
that,
saying
that we
they
want
could hold
to
more people
employ when it comes to Season of Discovery. It's kind of like we want to do as few realms as possible while still being able to get everybody in who wants to play. Now that being said, I'm also not an engineer, so Anna, I don't know if you want to talk a little bit more about that or about the PvP side of things and how that's going to be impacted.
I mean, we hope that with these, the population kind of regulates a little bit more, knowing that like with
10 more
less
players.
options to choose from.
I
we
like
have
that hardcore had only 2 server. I think that was a good choice.
seen this in data before, right? When there's not
It
as
makes the
many
servers
servers
feel
to
more
choose from
fuller,
from the
even with like
beginning, kind
10
of like
layers,
the
right?
factions start balancing a little bit more. So that's our hope with all these improvements
Yeah,
that
there's
we're
still
doing.
10 layers.
The other thing too is that the World PvP event that it's currently being developed, well, actually it's ready to go for level 25. It actually doesn't start until both factions get to a certain threshold. So we're hoping that when the event starts, it's going to be at a balanced place and a balanced battle. And of course, we're going to be keeping a close eye on it and just making sure, like, hey, is this working? Do we need to do any adjustments to the World PvP event that might, you know, help that balance and keep that balance and making it fun, right? Like, because we want it to be fun. So yeah, we're kind of like keeping an eye on the server population, plus also the new events and all of those kind of things, and keeping the faction balance on mind.
I look forward to watching those streams on that World PvP event.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
be
it's gonna be
good.
fun.
And that's like
Dude, chat, how many streamers are going Horde, by the way? I feel like if you play Horde, you're gonna get demolished. This is like the Tips Out incident, where Tips Out recruited me to come Horde because there was too many alliance. He's like, Asmongold, S-Fan, stay safe, they're all going alliance. If you go alliance 2, we need you. And then I came to Horde to balance it out, but I wanted to play alliance originally. I feel like right now, dude, every streamer plays alliance. Horde's gonna be a Monka-ass jam.
what is so much fun about Classic is that it's like I think of PvP in Classic as being like World PvP and those like epic battles with,
Honestly,
with
once
a
the
bunch of
streamers-
people out there in the world. So
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Streamers have a big influence of bringing people over or deciding Horde or Alliance. The Mudhead clan must be Rise. Alliance is. I like Alliance too, man. What's up? What's up? Thank you, Mr. Siraj. Yeah, cause I grew up playing Alliance, right? It's my home ground, but Horde's cool too. If I do play Horde, no, I wanna play Paladin, chat. I can't.
It's really fun. Very excited.
Our next question comes from Arithma
If Horde had Paladin, I would consider it.
from the Guild After Dark. Are there any plans to buff and or tune both instance and open world content to make up for the large number of
Yeah,
buffs
Horde still
from
has a
different
lot
class?
of
Yes,
community.
absolutely. You know, we want the world of Classic to feel both exciting and challenging to players, and especially as we're adding new content to the open world, really encouraging people to go into all the nooks and crannies of different zones looking for these new runes. Players are going to get a decent amount of power from those runes, and so we want to not
Volberic,
one-to-one
thank you for the
counterbalance
15 months.
the difficulty of outdoor content. We want players to feel an increase in power, but we within reason. So where it's appropriate, we have the power to adjust the HP and the damage of creatures in the outdoor world. Now, as for tuning of our raids, we also want our raids to be challenging. We also want them to be approachable, but especially for rewards, we want to make really cool items and rewards for people to be excited about and go after in these dungeons. And so we want the challenge of the bosses to reflect the power of the rewards that we're handing out.
Our next question comes from RoarG90 on the WoW Classic subreddit.
Dude, what are these names? These are generated names that they made up to ask themselves the questions, I feel like, chat. The last guy's name was what? BG Hero, and this guy's name is RoarG90. These are the most fake names I've seen in my life.
Is there a possibility we can see two-handed
This is paid
enhancement
actor,
shaman
right?
level as DPS?
You know, the modifications necessary to make both. There's a lot of modifications necessary to make both two-handed enhancement shamans and dual-wield enhancement shamans.
There's a guy
viable.
called Sag
For
123.
Season of Discovery in particular, we've
This
focused
is
more
so
on
fake.
modeling after the Burning Crusade version of enhancement shaman. We're keying off of runes like Lava Lash and dual wield specialization. To get two-handed enhancement shaman working properly, we'd probably have to add like a 5th rune to some of the armor slots to make that work. You know, that's not in our plans currently, but it's an intriguing possibility. And you know, on the Classic team, we're always listening to feedback of our players. So if that's something that players are passionate about and want, please tell us.
Oh, we will. Just you wait. Just you wait. Our next question comes from Beth F. on Senjin. Will there be a Scarlet Monastery raid?
Where did they pick these questions, chat? I mean, they're not bad questions. I'm just curious. I would ask some questions too.
You know, the content that we mistakenly teased at BlizzCon, it really represents just a huge aspirations that we have on the Classic team. You know, the treatment that we gave the Black Fathom Deeps raid, it represents just what we're willing to do to existing content. I'm so excited for players to be able to see our discoveries that they didn't get to see at the convention or BlizzCon, because they're really a great example of the level of detail and care and love that we're putting into making brand new content. And all of that to say, there's a deep desire among us on the Classic team to make brand new, never before seen Classic raid content for Season of Discovery. There's nothing to announce at this time, but we're definitely excited and have big aspirations.
Our next question comes from Felich on Kazakh. In Season of Discovery, will I be able to find runes that make Smite Holy Priest DPS viable, or is Holy Disc meant to be healers?
Yeah, I mean, that's one of the beauties of Season of Discovery and like having all these rune systems, is that the runes are not specialized depending on what talents you choose. So there's like certain runes that if you read about them, they're more like DPS focused, like homunculus. And then there's other ones that are more healer based focus, like penance or prayer of mending, right? But the idea is that you can mix and match them all.
Some people might not like this, but I like that. It's kind of like Overwatch, where healers do like DPS and healing. I think retail is more built like that. In Classic WoW, you just heal and just wand, right? There's like no DPS rotation. I feel like it's cool when a healer can heal and have like a decent DPS rotation. I think that makes it way more fun than just being a heal bot spamming heals. It's way more fun, in my opinion. I would like playing healers if that was the case, if they had good rotations. That's what they said in BlizzCon. They were announcing things. God, yeah. Excited for the Warrior Legendary and I main arms. There's a Warrior Legendary? I haven't really seen all the stuff. I've just seen a little bit of runes here and there.
Right, so you can be a Discipline Priest or a Holy Priest. And
the new Residue runes are cool, okay.
On the shadowy side, on the DPS side, and there's nothing stopping you.
They just said Legendary?
Go and
no extra info? Okay.
still heal with your abilities.
Yeah,
but
I heard about
some
that.
of the DPS ones and still have the same ability as them. And on the opposite side too, right? If you're playing a Shadow Priest, maybe you also want to have a penance here and there and like play with it, and maybe you're even more of a hybrid
penance is a cool ability.
DPS.
Our next question comes from Marcos from the Guild From the Ashes. I heard on a stream that with Season of Discovery, the sky is the limit. If so, what is the most radical change you'd be willing to implement?
Ooh.
That's a great question, Marcos.
That is a good question.
You know, we really want to double down on the philosophy of the world is the main character in Season of Discovery.
Okay.
And, you know, the beauty of getting to work on level-banded content phases as a designer is that we get to focus on one section of the game at a time as it's relevant to players while they're leveling up. And whether that content, you know, manifests itself as outdoor world PvP or new world bosses, new rewards.
Gordon Ramsay, what's up,
contests,
man? Hey, go to BlizzCon. You can talk to her, man.
Do our best to figure
her
out
your
where
insane
that
hair.
content fits best within
Same,
our
Mord.
content phases.
Our next question comes
I
from
want it to come
Fireprax
soon.
on the EU server Storm Reaver. For the season server, will racials be rebalanced?
Yeah, that's a fantastic question. You know, racial.
Ooh, Chad, would you guys like a little change in ratio or no? Coming from like, you can answer honest. I just want to see. Sea of hands, and then I'll show my opinion on it. Yes, 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 yes. Okay, same, dude. I know some class people are like, no, don't change it. Hashtag no change, but fuck, man, some of the ratios suck on some class or some races.
Are incredibly important to, you know, solidifying the fantasy of the character that you're playing, whether you're a Tauren with War Stomp or an Undead with Will of
Dude,
the
King,
Forsaken.
that's what I said, Slender.
It really defines your character. But at the same time, we know that a lot of people choose certain races because it's the optimal choice, and we know our classic
Okay.
players, they love choosing the optimal choice. So with that said, we're not going to do anything specifically to racials as they currently exist on characters. However,
They should let all classes be mages.
some of the
I think they should open
things
that up too.
players
I agree.
rely on racials
Very
to
hard.
do certain stat bonuses like weapon skill that orcs and humans get with axes and swords and maces. We aim to assist with where people have access to those stats through the rewards in our level up raids and discoveries that people find while leveling. So people won't feel forced to, you know, get the Edge Master's handguards in order to be viable if you chose the race that you want to play because you like their racial abilities or you
So
just
what
like
is he
how they
saying?
look. You know, another topic on the point of racial abilities is priests. Priests have a wide variety of unique racial abilities specific to their race and class.
Yes, we know that.
And you know, one of the things that we haven't really gotten into details about in Season of Discovery are the rune acquisitions themselves and how some classes have some very
This is the most dodging the question I've ever heard in my life. What is he spitting? Yes, we all know that. That's why we're asking the question about the ratios.
unique ceremony associated with learning their runes, and priests are one of
Okay.
those. They'll be encouraged to go into the world and learn about the religions and the faiths of the different races of Azeroth.
Oh,
And so this is not planned for the level
He's
25
getting there.
phase, but in future phases we're open to exploring
okay.
you know, priests perhaps getting
Letting them have the other ratios.
access to the priest
That's
racials
cool.
of
Okay, there it
other-
is, chat.
other races in the journey of that religious exploration that they
Okay, that's cool.
All right, we have one last question.
Only
and
2
this
years
is from
later?
Tyranny533
FM,
on
man,
the
good
Classic WoW
change.
subreddit. Will Season of Discovery end with server wipes like Season of Mastery, or will servers stay open for future content once the level 60 phase is out?
Yeah, that's a very good question. You know, we're really excited to have the level content facing that we're planning for Season of Discovery. So we're really hoping to get an idea of how players are interacting with the content through this. I mean, right now it is a season, right? So it is set up to be temporary. We always guarantee you that you're gonna be able to keep the characters that you create one way or another. How that's gonna look, it's not solidified yet. We're still talking, and we're gonna be seeing, as I mentioned, monitoring through all these phases, seeing how people are engaging, see what people love the most. So then we can find these characters a place, right? So keeping an eye on it. We don't have final plans on it, but we guarantee you that your character is gonna be able to go one way or another. And of course, if there's like something that everybody just loves so much and they don't want to see gone, we're definitely going to talk about different options on how we can allow players to keep having the fun that they're having. Yeah.
That wraps up our Q&A session. Thank you guys so much for hanging
What
out.
was the
and We'll
last-
see you guys next time.
Thank you, everyone.
What did you say? I didn't get to.
Thank you.
I was zoning out a little bit. I was trying to listen and then I zone out. What did she say? Are we gonna keep the character or it disappears? What was the line of? They're looking into okay. I mean, they have a lot of time to think about. Huh. Depends how people play. Okay. Last question was keeping your character. Yes, you see, I need a question. I didn't really get the answer. Basically, it's currently built. Okay. I thought it's not a straight answer. That's why I was confused. I know a lot of people in Wrath, they want a Wrath server and they want to just stay and just juice it up in that same server. They don't really want new stuff. Just Arena and Raid, I guess. For Season of Discovery, gosh. I feel like if they have a whole new system, people are going to want to continue playing that server. But that means they would have to have a server up for that specifically and do another season. I guess it's another era server. I mean, it's a season. I don't think it's going to stay. Yeah, if it's a season, it shouldn't stay. Maybe like just give them a cool buff like this and toss them into the era servers. But that's going to suck. After your character was like juiced out in that season, you have all your like buttons and you go back to Classic WoW and you don't have any of your buttons. That's going to feel bad. Especially like Red, if I go back and I lose my Divine Storm and Crusader Strike, I'm not going to play that shit in the era ever. Right? Yeah. There are speculation that Season of Discovery is beta for Classic Plus later. Yeah. That's what I thought too originally. A lot of people were unhappy about Discovery. I'm glad a lot more streamers are saying we should try it out. It's going to be fun. Because when I was there at BlizzCon, all the Classic streamers are angry. Everyone. Except for Guzu and I. And Stoops. All the retail players were like open to it. All the Classic players were hating it. Because they're like, oh, we don't want new buttons. We're all doomers. We like stroking one button. And they were not happy. But I think people are more being convinced that it will be fun. And this is a gateway for Classic Plus. They get to try it out and see what people like and not like. Take things from there. And send it home. Classic Plus. Discovery is good. Guzu Chat was Guzu Chat not happy? Because I remember I ran into S-Fan and he was not liking the idea of it. Yeah, a lot of the Classic people there were not liking it. A lot of them, man. But throughout the days of people like speaking and more people looking at it, I think they're becoming more open to it. I think people should be open to it. I think this is it's a positive net.